An excuse.
Recently did that recently.
Why don't we get started, guys, since we're a little bit over 8? And,
Might as well.
We are appreciative of those who are here.
We're so glad you were able to get a seat for tonight's.
Yeah.
Y'all might want to come a little closer because, well, you know.
It's sold out before.
Shall we introduce ourselves, or
That would probably be a good place.
Well, because you don't have a.
I
have no.
You know, I've done TusCon for 5 years now. Every damn year, within 15 minutes of getting the thing, I lose the entire package somewhere. So somebody's got my little thingy.
There's somebody else.
One
Eric Schumacher.
Make up a different name.
Oh, yeah.
Eric, I need to tell you right off the bat.
Yeah, Eric.
I need to tell you very succinctly and very, as a friend, you should keep better track of your package.
I know I should.
Yes.
That could mean a number of different things.
Yes, it does. I'm just saying.
So where should we start?
Well, let's start at the very end.
I don't know, but I think we should open the door so that we can invite
We
people.
can open the door.
We can
Come on in.
Come on
They're all friendly.
Please.
And stuff. I know that's terrifying.
We're outnumbered.
Join us.
We're friendly even
now,
though it's Arizona.
yeah, we're still outnumbered, but that's okay.
So
somebody go find George R. Martin, bring him in here.
Yeah, right.
That should have
Is he still walking around?
A lot of us in
I
this
saw him about a
job.
minute ago walking.
I don't know.
So why don't we restart? So the subject matter of this panel is really about how to start a career as an actor, what to do.
So you want to be an actor.
So you want to be an actor. That's the name of the panel. And why don't we introduce ourselves? And I guess why don't we start over here?
I am Paul Clinco. I am a filmmaker. I'm also an actor. I've done much more stage than screen, and I love it. And we'll talk about how that all happened later on.
Okay.
I met Eric on stage.
Yes, we met on stage when he upstaged me, and he was so damn good I didn't mind at all.
Like you just did now.
It really did a phenomenal job. I still mark that particular play as one of the penultimate moments of my career so far.
Absolutely.
So I am Eric Schumacher, and I am an actor. I'm also a director and a producer, because that's one of the things you should do when you're an actor. Best known most recently for doing some Western roles. I was Wyatt Earp on a national television show for Fox called Legends and Lies of the Real West. And literally last night, the world premiere of Alice Cox's Tombstone Rashomon at the Loft Cinema. Alice Cox, you may know from Repo Man and Sid and Nancy and other films like that, where I played Doc Holliday. So that is, things have been going well lately.
You actually got paid for it?
I cannot talk about
Why
contracts,
didn't
so-
they pay for me? Pissing me off.
Who are you?
Who the heck am I?
Who are you?
Hey,
What
tell
am I,
them
John
who you are.
Fuller?
I'm Lawrence Fuller.
There we go.
That's me. I'm Lawrence Fuller. I'm also an actor and director, and a director of marketing at the Roadrunner Theater Company on the east side of Tucson. I've been in Tucson for 24 years. I've been in theater since I was 15, although from Philadelphia to Florida to here. I've done a few movies here and there. That's about it for me now.
I'm Bruce Wiley. I'm an actor. I'm not a director or producer. I broke the mold on this.
What?
Well, yeah. I've worked in film and television. I've also worked on the other side of the lens, behind the scenes, on two other. I've been in one major screen production, one major TV production, and TV movie. I worked as a grip for a live remote from Tombstone, Arizona, to Rome, Italy. They have a program there that's very similar to The Tonight Show, watched by literally the entire country. And they want to do it from the anniversary of the OK Corral battle. They want to do a live reenactment. So they actually hired a bunch of us in the local area, sent down a crew, and set up a live, over-the-phone line remote from Tombstone and reenacted the battle with the Wild Bunch. Also, one of the nice things about being an actor, you get really cool swag. This is the crew hat. Typically, there's a piece of clothing that goes with the entire crew of a movie. This is the crew hat for Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen, which I worked as a location assistant when they shot out here at the 309th Aerospace Maintenance Regeneration Group. That wonderful scene where they left the Smithsonian Institution and found themselves in the Sonoran Desert. I walked through the doorway. A lot of stories about that day, too. So anyway, so there's that, and also I love acting. I've been a gregarious individual most of my life anyway, so this is just a natural extension of myself, and we're going over to...
Hello, I'm Marty Ketola. I am a screenwriter, producer, director. I did public access television in Tucson for 25 years, and then gave myself the tongue-in-cheek moniker of King of Public Access, which nobody ever challenged me on. I thought I was going to get challenged right away on that. And my first thing is, if you, like I said last night in my midnight panel, if you want to be an actor, 5 foot tall or under, right? Because I've met so many actors at conventions, and on the screen they seem so huge, but they're really mostly around 5 feet tall, I've noticed.
Well,
not always.
Stallone is 5'7".
There are some tall actors out there, right? I mean, I wouldn't say that that's a requirement.
No,
but
doesn't hurt.
Do bear in mind that the screen. We do. The camera does actually make you look bigger in all ways.
Is that wider?
Wider, taller, everything.
That would be great for me because actually I'm about the same height as Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is really short.
I'm 5'4", and I think he's about 5'5" or 5'4". He's about the same.
He's taller than Pacino.
But
he's a little guy.
So when casting though, if you have a lead who is rather short, then you're going to tend to cast people with shorter stature, or you're going to work with them, or you're going to have to use a lot of camera tricks so that they don't seem diminished physically. But I wouldn't say it's a requirement. So.
Alan Ladd's career of acting as a movie star was running around on boxes the entire time.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a short guy, and one taller than the ladies, so he never touched the floor.
There we go.
Oh.
So I guess shall we talk about some tips to get started to get rolling in a career? So
Yeah.
I guess why don't we start with what's your first step, guys? Shoot out some advice.
Be yourself.
The first step is to get cast.
That's the trick.
You have to do something.
That's the trick. Yeah.
And then discover if you like the work, and discover what the work is, because I think you have to do it to really understand what it is that you're supposed to be doing. I think there's two different crafts in acting. There's acting for the screen and acting for the stage. And they have, while acting is acting, it's an art, and all arts have craft associated with them, and the craft of a stage actor is different than the craft of a movie actor. And you have to be able to understand the difference when you're doing two different kinds of things. So I think the most important thing is to get cast, and then discover what it is to create a character out of the raw material that is you. That's what actors do.
I would suggest backtracking a little bit though, because in order to get cast, you have to compete. And now, mind you, you might, even potentially without experience, you might be able to get cast in student projects or something along those lines. But acting is a very competitive, very, 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 very competitive industry. Very challenging to get past a role, and so I think it's important to begin with training. In fact, if you're not sure if you want to be an actor, then a great place to begin. If it's something that you're thinking about or something you dream about, go and get into some classes and start exploring the art in a safe environment where where you can't lose. You just go and start learning how to do it. Start learning some techniques and performing in an environment where there isn't necessarily an audience to satisfy, and see if you catch on fire with it. And this, of course, if you really get serious, then you'll want to get some stage training, get some film training, so again you understand the actual technique. And you want to build, going to an audition, you have to have a package at the audition. You have to have a headshot, you have to have a resume, even if you haven't actually done anything, you've got to put something on a resume. It's expected. If you go into a professional casting call and you do not have a headshot or resume, you may be, that may be it for you.
They'll ask you to bring the coffee in.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
So, having a very basic starter package. It all begins with the training, though, and getting involved with the community of people who can help you to learn what is expected as an actor. So there's a beginning point.
Yeah. Actually, okay. You want to make money.
Well,
You want to be a professional.
That's way down.
Well, I'm just saying. If that is your actual finishing product, you want to be a professional actor, then you got to look at it as a business where you have to spend money to make money. So yes, I agree. You have to go to workshops. You have to buy your headshots, not just do them by yourself at home. Although some people are good photographers, they're not that great, okay? But they do have people who are professional to do your headshots. Then there's the agent. Now the agent, beware. Agent, beware. You don't want an agent that wants money up front. Of course, that's a scam. And there's a lot of them, and you see them on Craigslist. We can put you in commercials right away. We can do all this stuff. Beware of those guys. There are some agents up in Phoenix who are really good. There was one down here. I don't even know if she's still around.
Fozzie?
No. I'm talking about. Oh gosh, I can't remember her name. She spoke. She sounded like an agent. Phyllis Boyd.
Oh,
Yeah. She talked like this, Phyllis Boyd, and she was like, "Hey, Bubble, how are you?" She was like that.
She's wonderful.
And she's wonderful.
Yeah.
And she was my agent. And, she was also the agent for you, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yes. And Guy actually. Yeah.
Before we go too far,
audition. That's the next step. Is just you're going to be going from audition to audition to audition. Sometimes you can't even rely on an agent to send you to auditions. Start small. Go to little theaters. There are tons of them in Tucson. So if you feel that you just want to start that way on stage, that is a good place to start. Live Theater Workshop, Roadrunner Theater, Rogue Theater, Winding Road. They all have auditions at certain times. You can look it all up in the Caliente. You can look it up online. There's a website, Bill Dell. Just type in Bill Dell, and there's announcements on that. It's a lot of legwork, and it's a lot of heart and soul that you pour into it to do it. I mean, you have to want to do it, and you have to have the time to do it as well. That's the tough thing.
I want to ask the other people on the panel how much training in acting they have had.
Me?
Everybody is.
Nearly none.
None?
Nearly none. I did your average high school and college stuff. That's really about it. So, it was like a couple of years where I was rehearsing lines and actually getting in front of people and doing things.
I mean training, not just doing shows.
Okay, actual training?
Yeah.
Taking classes?
Yeah.
Never had a one. Never had a one. Now, that also means that I have not been working probably half as much as I could. Because one of the things that going to the classes do for you is gives you networking skills. You have people who are around you and they say, hey, listen, there's a casting call for such and such. You want to go? That kind of thing. I've never had literally any formal training as an actor.
The closest to any kind of formal training is I lettered in drama in high school. I used to do plays there, but that was about it. The rest of it is just going in raw and then learning as you go. learning from other actors as well. Directing, I've had a mix of people who are really well trained and other actors who didn't have any training, and they tended to learn from the environment. Just being on the set, you pick up things.
It's true.
It's kind of nice to sometimes just have a raw, and you can mold, while sometimes a class might be able to take some of that edge right off of you. Not necessarily, but maybe.
Well, you get too much information, from different people. There's so many methods.
Yeah.
That's the problem. There are so many methods of acting. And we have a guy here in town who teaches the Stanislavski method. And it's just, I've been doing it since I was 15, and I started on the little theater stage, and I've been doing it ever since. And frankly, to me, right now it's a hobby. I have a regular job, day job, to make my money. So I do the theater as something fun, and I'm growing. In fact, this year I started directing, and I love that. I love the directing now. But I still love the acting as well, And professionally, I wouldn't mind going one step or another step in the direction and start doing voiceovers. That sounds like fun. So, but yeah, as for training, I didn't have any formal training. I've been in a few workshops. But,
Eric, how about you?
I've been training since I was 6 years old.
In class.
My parents are actually both actors, and they instilled me with a love of the art, and I begged them to train me formally. And so, I started reciting Shakespeare at 6, and I've gone through a variety of different kinds of training with different people. I've studied voice, movements, various different techniques. My primary trainers still pretty much are my parents. They're both masters of the craft, and they. When I'm struggling with the role, there's still people I go to for tips on how to break through. Or my mom also is a speech teacher for the actor. So if you've ever seen my work, you've seen me do an accent that's right on target. It's because I have a secret weapon. And so for me, I suppose for the way that my mind works, I've relied on learning a lot of different techniques from a lot of different disciplines, and that's allowed me to have a very wide breadth of roles that I can nail right on target, a lot of tools that I can use. And I think that that's the best way to approach training. There is I've heard people talk about the feeling that training can be stifling, especially if they're too enmeshed in one particular system, and I look at it very differently. I look at it as this is knowledge. This is not, it's like if I were studying to be a surgeon, I would want to learn from people who have done that before rather than try to figure it out myself, so that I can then take my natural talent and utilize what other people have figured out and adapt it to myself. But I'm not going to take one particular system and be married to that system. I look at it as I have a gigantic toolkit that I've learned from a variety of mentors and great teachers. And if something doesn't work, I discard it. Because ultimately it's all about finding ways to give a very realistic performance under a very difficult set of circumstances, which is called a movie set.
I had a 1 10-week quarter when I was a sophomore in college which was an acting class with a guy who starred in one and directed one at the Ashland, Oregon Shakespeare Festival that year, and Richard Brisso, an amazing teacher, and all we did were scenes from Shakespeare. And that was the only formal acting class I've ever had. Mostly it's just been doing shows, and when you get the costume, you figure out how you're supposed to move in it, you incorporate that. I do a lot of external stuff to help bring in the character. I've done a couple of roles in which there were no limps or crutches to hide behind, and that was quite a bit challenging. But in terms of like putting all of myself out there instead of hiding, and but basically it's about doing it, figuring it out while you're doing it, and then the 2 or 3 movies I've done, the director is going to guide you. You're not out there by yourself, of course, the thing you understand about movies is that movies are shot out of order, and that means that you may be doing the climax on the first day because that's when they got the set, and you have to produce a finished, complete performance on take 1. Unlike stage acting, in which you can do stepwise refinement of what you're doing until opening night comes. So I think that just by doing the work, by getting a part and doing the work, is going to teach you more than any acting class. I've been to a couple of actor showcases in Los Angeles, and all these people look like they went to the same acting class. They all have the same kind of flavor about the same acting class flavor, and there's nothing individual about any of them that I saw. And I think it's important to maintain yourself. I remember that Harrison Ford was asked his method of acting, and he said, "I belong to the Let's Pretend school of acting," and that was enough. I mean, look at his career.
Worked for him so far.
It has.
Yeah, he makes it up as he goes along, and it seems to be working for him.
I think some of that also relates to determining what sort of an actor you are, because there are different types. You've seen Jack Nicholson, perhaps, who always plays Jack Nicholson. And he does it brilliantly. He's exceptional as Jack Nicholson. But that's what he does, And then there are other actors who literally become someone else.
Willem Dafoe.
Sure.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
And that's a different set of skills. They're similar, but they're also different.
Helen Mirren, Meryl Streep, they're constantly different people.
So I think that if you're someone who is really more of a, I guess you could say, personality actor, it's just that didn't say that's bad. It's just that you're really you're marketing yourself, you're branding yourself as someone who essentially plays a similar type of character, which is closer to who you are. And if you have a strong and interesting personality, then that can be quite valuable.
Unless you want to be a character actor.
The character actors, yes, very different ballgame.
Totally different.
Literally disappearing.
Jack Lemmon was always the what do they call him? The common man.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
Joe Average.
Joe Average. Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
But then you had people like Bela Lugosi or Lon Chaney who could play different characters and change each one, to their ability, to whatever they had to do. Johnny Depp today, can make himself into different characters. We can still see it's a little bit of Johnny Depp, but he can be. Edward Scissorhands, and then the next time you see him, he's
Ed Wood.
He's Ed Wood, right? Or he's.
He was on Graham Norton the other night, and he was doing Donald Trump, and it was just absolutely.
Who?
Donald
He
Trump.
was on Graham Norton, the Graham Norton show.
Oh, he was on Graham Norton.
And
Yeah.
he was doing Johnny was doing Donald Trump, and oh my God! And they showed a picture of him in makeup.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely eerie. I mean, I would have looked at that, and
Yeah.
I would never, even with him sitting there with his own clothes.
He did a video actually on Netflix where he played Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's what they were
that's
talking
one- that's
about.
what-
Yeah.
He was morphing into him sitting on the
It was
on the couch.
hilarious if you haven't
But
seen it.
And it
look
was
what he
breathtaking.
had to do in order to create Donald Trump. He
Yeah.
has not only the voice, not
It's
only the
the-
facial
the
tics,
hand
there's
gestures.
also the body, there's
body,
mannerisms,
the
and
makeup.
they have to be
Yeah.
natural and not painted on in order to create this part. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of external stuff that he obviously consciously set up and practiced in order to create that role. And there's, it's certainly possible for people here to do that.
Well, absolutely.
And some, but take Peter Lorre, for example. when he was 20 years old, he did M as a child murderer.
Oh.
And it was such an intense international hero success story that he wasn't able to get arrested in any other kind of part. And he always considered himself a comedy actor. Peter
Yeah.
Lorre. And he only got to do that a couple of times. When
Arsenic and Old Lace.
Dr. Einstein in Arsenic and Old Lace, in which they miscast
Or
Jonathan. That part was written for Boris Karloff.
Yeah, he was kind of pissed off that he
That was
did.
bad.
He was not very happy that he did not. He did it on Broadway, and he was
He
not
created
happy.
the role.
Yes, he did. He created his own role.
That's right. Einstein operates on him, and after seeing a horror movie, he looks like Boris Karloff.
That's the joke in the play is he kills a cab driver and says why because you said I look like Boris Karloff.
So in terms of the next steps of actually doing this as a career, I think also one of the biggest questions that one might ask is, what do you actually want? I regularly come across people who say, well, I really want to be an actor. And my question to them is, are you sure?
Almost every actor that I have met does other tasks and has other employment opportunities in the film industry. Very few people act exclusively. So I've met people who were wonderful actors. They also did makeup and costumes and stuff like that. So if you're going to be entering the business, you need to be able to eat. And there's only so many cab driving jobs or waiter and waitress jobs you could get. So
You don't want to
that
be a
will
cab
understand
driver,
the acting requirements.
And there's also
So
actors
it's
that,
important to have other sources of movie employment if you want to do work in movies.
There's also actors that aren't actors. You don't want to use these people. You might think, oh, this is my friend. I can get him in front of the camera. You cannot lead. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah.
There's so many people that want to act. Cast them. They're out there. You might not think that they are, but they are. There's plenty of actors to where you don't have to just grab whoever and throw them in front of the camera.
Well, and
Sometimes it can work, but
that also goes back to the audition process. I mean, have any of you ever auditioned as an actor before? Okay.
Did you get the role?
No, the only roles I've gotten were roles I didn't audition for because I've been in school productions.
I'm sorry, with what?
I've been in college productions. I did a musical theater workshop in college several times, and the two roles I got. No, that's wrong. I got one from auditioning and one from knowing somebody. Both places.
Anybody else ever auditioned before? Okay, so are you familiar with the? Well, let me roll it back a little bit and talk about, because I've also run casting calls, and you have one there at least. I'm sure you have.
Oh, yeah.
Company. And so basically, what you're doing when you're sitting on the other side of the table and you're watching a bunch of actors come in, is you are determining whether or not the steady stream of people locally auditioning for a particular role can convince you that they are that character, and how well they can take direction, how professional they appear to be, whether or not they can adapt to your direction or lack of, how quickly they can discover a character. Personally, when I hold auditions, I put actors through the ringer because we work fast and hard on these sets, and I need to know that if I give you a nudge in a certain direction, you're not going to battle me. You're going to be able to take that direction and run with it. And so, regardless of whether or not you decide to get whatever level of training, you need to at least have enough practice to know that when you walk into that audition, you are on a par with anyone else you're auditioning against. There are a lot of other factors that go into deciding who to cast, which may be appearance, it may be some special skill set, and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, if a producer has risked a lot of money on a film or play or something along those lines, what are they filming? They're filming you as an actor, and you better be able to bring the damn goods. So figure out whether or not you need training, because if you don't get if you don't have the same level of skill as the other people you're auditioning against, you're probably not going to get the gig in the first place.
Even for micro-budget or non-budget productions, there's no time on a set to teach you how to act. You have to come with a skill, because whether there's no zeros after it or there's 5 zeros after it, nevertheless, time is money, even in a little micro-budget set. So in order to complete all the pages you gotta do that day.
Oh, excuse me.
And that was my moose imitation. You didn't even
Pretty good.
notice
That's
it.
pretty good. That's acting.
It came out of the other end, eh?
Hey, Rosie, what's in the red on my hat?
No open flames, baby. No open flames.
Well, one thing to keep in mind also in the industry, not everyone is I've worked with both of these guys as directors before, both Marty and Paul, and not everybody is as wonderful a director. You know, you walk onto sets often and actually get zero direction. You just better know what you're doing.
Yep.
You walk onto this, you know, and that's often the way it works in the fast-paced movie world.
I met someone who had a speaking role in a Woody Allen movie, and I couldn't wait to ask, what is he like as a director?
Doesn't do
And the
anything.
answer was, oh, he doesn't talk to the actors. He expects you to act. You don't even get the whole script. You just get a scrap of paper with your lines on it. He's dealing with the camera and the lights and everything. And so you just go out there and do it. That's why he cast you. That's why he hired you, because you're an actor.
And the intention of the subject line isn't to scare anybody. What I'm saying is,
Oh, we should. We should scare them. We should scare them.
determine what
Yeah,
you
we should
want.
scare them
You know,
all
what
off
you
and get some more.
do you want to do this because it's something that you find fun and you just want to, you know, enjoy the art, and that's great. I encourage everybody to do that. Or do you want to do it on a professional level? Those are really two completely different sets of criteria and two completely different sets of discipline and sets of dedication. Yeah.
Well, my attitude is to combine the two. I have never been paid for my acting. I have always enjoyed it, and I have always been professional.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's great for your cast. It's great for your crew. It's great for your director.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not you're really just doing it because you enjoy doing it, it's important to to be a great player for everybody else.
He also has a great picture.
There's another reason. There's another
Thank God.
reason to act, and that is if you intend to direct, whether it's on stage or screen. If you know what actors go through, then you'll be able to relate to them a lot more reasonably than if you are just wondering.
Now, as for the money part of it too, a lot of the theaters here in town now do pay a stipend. So you can get a small stipend, something, you know, from a theater, because, you know, frankly, they're taking your time away from your house for about a month or so to rehearse, which means you have to drive there 4 nights, sometimes 4 nights or 5 nights a week. And then, of course, there's Hell Week, which is, you got to be there at a certain time, you know. So there's a lot of stuff involved. So they do pay you a little bit, you know, for your time. And then, of course, a lot of the micro-budget movies and stuff like that, especially some things that I've done, they might say, well, we're not going to pay you anything, but they have food. So to me, yeah, exactly. What is the best way to an actor's heart? Their stomach. Exactly. So
And a line in your resume.
which is major. I mean, getting a credit I'm on IMDb. Now the only thing is I didn't pay for the professional IMDb, so my picture's not on there, and I don't have all that, you know, all that stuff. My resume is not on there, but I do have credit, you know, being in short films and a film in Phoenix. But
If your film is released even to a festival one time,
Yeah.
you could get in the IMDb.
yeah,
So I think that also
Internet movie database.
speaks to a couple of things that we've spoken about before. Larry was talking earlier about spending money to make money. So again, if you're looking at this as a profession, then you've got to look at yourself as a product. And to understand what it is to be a product and how to successfully be a product, you've got to understand what the buyer wants. So, you know, Ed McMahon, who some of you may remember from the old Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, actually wrote a book on sales, which was quite brilliant. And he started it by pointing out that absolutely nothing happens in this world until somebody sells something to somebody. In any aspect of any field in the society, somebody's selling something to somebody. Well, if you're an actor, what you're actually doing when you're auditioning is selling yourself to a buyer. And unfortunately, often you don't understand, you have no way of understanding fully what the criteria of what the buyer is looking for is, but you do have a certain level of knowledge that they are looking for someone, again, who seems to be professional, who has a strong approach to a role and seems like they're competent with it, who seems to be easy to work with, etc. You also realize that that you're now a product, so you're out in your marketing never ends. I spend probably 50% or more of my time, actually probably more like 60 or 70% of my time in my work as an actor, just marketing myself as an actor.
It's also important to know that Eric does not sleep.
I also do not sleep.
No, he doesn't.
I very
It's
rarely
amazing.
sleep. I work constantly.
I'm thinking maybe that's what I need to do.
And I think it's pretty much the same for most arts. I know Lisa Ote, who's a great musician here in town.
Oh, yeah.
And when she puts out an album, she prints. She told me she has 2,000 made, and 1,000 are used as promo. Every radio station in town, every agent, every venue, she sends them out. So that's 1,000 CDs of her music that are meant to be given away as promotional items. So, and it's the same as Eric says, you've got to sell yourself. And there's something else you have to deal with we haven't spoken about, rejection.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You're going to get a lot of that.
A lot of it, yeah.
And you have to realize it's not you that's being rejected, it's the image that the director is thinking about for the role. Okay? That's what's being rejected. That's very difficult because you are your raw material. So it feels like you are being rejected. So get over that, baby.
Well, sometimes it is you that are being rejected.
Yeah, right. It's sometimes it is.
Yeah, just pointing out an experience. I went through the audition process for one play, and it was clear upon leaving the room I was going to be the lead, and they wanted somebody else for the lead, so they put somebody else in it. What's you going to do? You know?
Yeah,
There's
Learn to enjoy the audition
favoritism.
process. You know.
that's a big one. That really is.
There is favoritism in a lot of different ways out there, and that's one thing you're going to come across. So don't always expect to get the starring role. You know, you might want to go for that starring role. Don't always expect to go for that.
Be glad
starring
you get
role.
anything.
But audition nonetheless, and if they have you read for that role, there's a reason why, you know. Or if they have you, they look at you and they say, okay, that person could be this character or that character. But it's when you go in there and you say, no, I want to read for this character. Then they're like, okay, it's that kind of person who, you know, is demanding the be that person, and if they don't get it, well then, you know, you're going to be rejected. It's every time, and you know they have cattle calls at theaters now, where they do an entire season's, you know, audition in one day, you know, and they have like every director sitting there, you know, for every show, and then there's the theaters that do, you know, one show audition per, you know. Those are the ones that you're just going to go, and the next month you'll go, the next month until you finally get a part. But keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah, persistence is key in everything.
Yeah, it is. Persistence is
and additionally,
definitely
continual learning. There are
you never stop.
As everybody said,
Never stop learning.
it's a you know, you're not going to get every role, and oftentimes you won't get most of the roles that you audition for. But are there factors that are affecting your percentile chance? It would be good to know this. This is why, frankly, it would be very good to take a formal class in audition technique and audition process, so that you know. I will tell you, I've held a lot personally. I've held a lot of auditions here in Tucson, and you know, I'm frequently quite disappointed. Just simply that, okay, we're holding a professional audition for a paid professional gig, and I've got people showing up, you know, sweaty in shorts and t-shirts with a Polaroid photograph and a handwritten resume. And it's like, dude, get a computer. I'm sorry.
But they're so good.
And
But
on top of
so-
that,
they call
really
them
just a basic lack of knowledge of how the audition process is supposed to go, and a fundamental lack of understanding of how to perform. I also get some very strong actors. Don't get me wrong. We cast a lot of people here in town, but I've talked to people who tell me that they're disappointed that they continually get rejected in auditions, and then I talk to them about their process for auditioning, and it's clear they've never studied it at all. They have no idea what an audition is supposed to be like. So, and some of those very same people who come to me with the Polaroid, it's like, well, this is why you're getting rejected. Because if I'm going to count on you to not waste my investors' money, I need to know you can bring the goods. And part of the whole process is showing your professionalism in the audition. And it's simple stuff. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's just learn the format. And I mean, you can get that in a single seminar. You can get that reading stuff online, really.
Oh, I'm 68. I'm just not going to get any romantic leads at this point in my acting career. But, damn. But, at the same time, there's like a couple of dozen actors in town, of whom I am one, who are over-the-top old farts. And, I run into these guys at auditions all the time, Am I over the top the way the director wants it? No, the director wants that guy being over the top. And so, it's just what happens.
It's the look. It's
just what happens.
It's exactly what happens. I mean, you can be the greatest actor in the world. It's like when I turned 50, I lost my job, and I tried to find another one, and I had 32 years experience in the field that I was going for, and people just didn't want me because I had too much experience and I was overqualified. Okay, so what did they want? Same thing about acting. It's same thing about acting. I mean, you could have George Clooney or you could have Brad Pitt. Two fabulous actors, but they're going to go with the one that they want, the one that looks to what they want, and
that's the part you can't
That's something
necessarily
you can control.
guess.
you can't control. Yeah, you can't guess that either.
There's certain things that So I mean, you're going to limit. You're going to increase your odds for getting cast if you know the audition process and you bring a strong audition. But again, there's just certain factors that maybe they just happen to like the way that person's hair waves that way or something. You can't guess that.
Also, you wanted to know where movie stars come from.
Yeah.
Where movie stars come from is very simple. There is a starring role, and every other movie star turned it down, and some other actor gets the role because they want to make that movie, and it's a starring role, and if that actor does it well, they're a movie star, and that's how it happens. So you can't prepare for anything like that. It's fortune favors the prepared. That's basically what it amounts to. And being prepared means being ready to do the job and keeping it new and fresh, not walking into the audition room and thinking you're going to lose. You got to walk in being yourself. And let me tell you, if there's two actors up for a role, one has 100% and his attitude sucks, and the other person is 85% and has a great attitude, let me tell you, the 85% actor is getting the role.
True that.
Because nobody wants to deal with shit while they're making the show.
Yeah.
In the show that Eric and I met on was one of the things that was astounding about it, 20 actors in there, and there was no backstage crap at all. It was just an amazing collection.
3.5 hour show, very intense as well, and a lot of emotions on stage, but we left it all on stage.
Just no backstage crap at all. Just wonderful to work with.
Yeah. Now, one important thing to do is when you're going into an audition is make sure that you understand what the role is and be prepared to project that into the role. If you're not naturally that person, become that person. You have to be able, because that's acting. If you can show, I'm sorry, but I cannot play Doris Day. It just isn't going to work. I could really work on it.
I'm a character actor's challenge.
Put a wig on this guy, he'll transform into Marilyn Monroe.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, right. But, understand the role you're going for. Make sure that you fit into that role. I mean, if they're interviewing for 78-year-old black men, don't be a 20-something white guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not going to work.
That's a really good point.
If you're looking for tall, heavy-built men, don't be a slight, don't be Woody Allen. If you're going to be an action adventure hero, don't be someone who can't move. Make sure that you fit into that role. The other important thing to do is make sure to pay attention. Watch what's going on around you. Look who is going up for this role. Are you going to fit just like them? Or are you going to stand out? You have to stand out if you want to get a role. You have to grab the attention. It's like getting a job. Well, that's what it is. You have to be able to cast yourself beyond the wheat and chaff to stand out as the kernel that they're looking for.
Very good point.
Keep your eyes open. Watch bulletin boards. Watch ads. Look for casting calls. They're out there. Be careful of Craigslist. Okay, there's a bunch of creeps out there. But unless you want to start working in porn, then you got a chance. I don't think I'd manage it.
There's a Craigslist list.
As an aside, Marty and I are sharing a funny look here, only because I first worked with Marty on a feature film that he directed, which was posted on Craigslist. It was legit, though.
But see, that's the thing.
But you're right.
There's so little in some venues when it comes to actually legitimate casting roles. You have to look at it caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. But that's really the most important thing that you can take away from any of this is make sure that you can make yourself noticed. The only reason I got my first acting role is I swore at Steve McQueen.
I'm so impressed.
Tell that story later.
Thank you so much for entering this.
So what are things to look out for to make sure that you're not getting signed up for some shady, under something that's not a professional thing? Or something
If they ask for money up front,
yeah,
run.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to make you pay them to get work.
Yeah.
Same thing with the website, with the internet. There's websites out there that they play. You send us your picture, you sign up, do that, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, if you want to answer certain casting calls and everything, you have to pay for it. That's a scam, right off the bat. Agents do not ask for money up front. Casting agencies do not ask for money up front. You go to a casting call. They have them sitting at the desk here with the director or producer, the casting director. That's how it's run. You don't go to an office somewhere and pay them to be put on their website, your picture and everything, so that they can show you off, with your resume. That's not how it happens.
If it smells like horseshit, it probably is.
Yeah.
Beware of talent agencies that tell you that you are absolutely awesome, especially if you have no experience. You're fantastic. We need to bring you on. However, really, you should take some classes, which we happen to offer.
For a certain amount of money.
You need to get, so there's it's not to say that all of those are not legit, but my experience has been that most legit agents look at you with a pretty stern eye. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. They're going to have you audition, and and they will tend to be not very friendly. In fact, because they're really assessing whether you are a commodity. How does an agent make their money? An agent makes their money by getting you work. How do they get you work? People send them casting calls. They pick from their talent base based on physical appearance, skill sets, etc., and they send them out to those casting calls. And if you get a job, and when you get paid, they get paid. If you are not getting jobs, they don't get paid. So it doesn't do them any good to waste their time talking to you for very long. So they will be very blunt on them, sometimes hurtfully so. You brace yourself for that.
Oh, there's one other thing about the audition process. Sometimes you'll get a little fragment of the script to read before you go into the room, and sometimes you don't. You just go in cold and see what happens. Frankly, I think that is potentially damaging for an actor. When I'm directing, I always give sides, these little fragments of the script, so the actor can look at it and see what it is, and do some preparation for it. I think it's just a polite way to treat a fellow artist.
Yes.
And but there are plenty of people who just consider actors to just be their tubes of paint, and they treat them like that.
And as for stage auditions, they usually want you to do a monologue. So now you have to memorize a monologue, a 1 minute monologue, a comedy and a tragedy, and you have to remember them, and you have to go there and you perform in front of the people that you're auditioning for. And sometimes they even have all the other actors sitting around, in the same place. So there's so many different ways that you're gonna audition. And then the other thing about an agent sends you to a casting thing. You don't think right away they're going to cast me. No, you're going to be sitting in a room or in the waiting room with a bunch of other actors, and you have to audition. They're sending you to an audition. They don't have a part. Just we got a part for you. That doesn't work. Only in the movies does it work like that, or TV. You actually have to go to an audition, and then you start to look around and you go, oh my God, there's people that look like me. Because they were looking for that one look. And oh my God, they all have the same beard and same build and everything. So, there's so many different factors. In that case, my only tip for that would be yourself. Try not to overdo yourself, but just, I would say just be yourself.
Bruce made a very good point about standing out in the crowd, and I think that we're running out of time here.
We're running out of time?
But I think that, for me, what that
got
comes
6
down to
minutes.
is making bold choices about your performance, and picking something that is a little bit different than you think other people might do in the audition. Picking a choice that you think might be a little bit risky, because odds are everyone else is doing kind of a cookie cutter performance, and you want to really stand out. We're just about out of time. I think we might have time for
wrap up.
One more question or wrap up. Do we want to? Does anybody have a final question? Okay, do you guys want to do any kind of summary statement?
I would say in conclusion, if acting is really your passion and you want to do it, just never stop. You just got to keep at it.
Yeah.
My personal thing, if you're going to be an actor, I'm going to see a bunch of heads bobbing up and down here. Don't quit your day job.
No.
Yeah.
After all, everybody says, hi, I am an actor. I just wait tables for money.
Challenging and
That's Los
Yeah. The same thing with the two of them. And also, once you get your foot in the door at a theater, try to keep it in there. You don't want to flip off the other actors. You don't want to flip off the staff. You don't want to it's a team, and you're working with a team, and you're working with a family, and it's a company actually, and you never want to be fired from a company. So there's a chance they'll call you back up when they have a part for you.
You don't want to be Gerard Depardieu, where he's just an asshole.
Well, there's a chance you may not have to audition again. Live Theater Workshop. Since 2000 and 2001, I've done 5 shows there. only because they've called me up, hey, got a part for you. So once you get your foot in the door, like I said, and like I said, like he said, keep going. Just keep doing it, don't quit your day job. Yet.
I'll briefly throw out just my recap of learn as much as you can, learn about business, learn about the art, and yeah.
How do you, when you start as an actor, how do you transition to things like producer and director and those other?
That's another panel.
Yes.
That's a whole different. That's a whole
really trying to
different.
understand, and yeah, it really is, and happy to answer any questions outside after as well. But learn, really understand the environment you're working in, and understand again that you're a property, and so you need to sell yourself as that in order to get work, and determine how you will continually up the game, and decide again what do you want. Is this an artistic passion and you don't care whether you make a career out of it? That's absolutely wonderful. Is this something that you wish to do for a living? That's also absolutely wonderful, but it is a very different thing.
I would say that if you want to be an actor, forget about money now. Totally forget about it. Just go out and get roles and see how you like doing this particular art. Learn how to relate to the other people behind the seat, behind the camera, or sitting in the audience if it's a stage show, and learn from other people like how do you project and stuff like that. It doesn't take a lot of time, but remember, if it's going to be on stage, they call it doing a play. It's because it's supposed to be playful. You're going to come out and have fun doing it. And don't take it too seriously. Embrace rejection. And eventually, you will get on there and you'll look out at those people and you will discover that you are actually and truly larger than life. And it's an incredible feeling to be there.
To amplify something that Paul said, literally to amplify something that Paul said, you have to learn not only how to project, but how to project.
That'll all come back.
Thank you. You got to experience something.
Right.
First time I projected 13 in my bar mitzvah. They could hear me outside the synagogue. Amazing. Yeah, that's what I was told.
Yeah, whether it's a brand new play that's never been produced before, or something from the world production-tested repertoire of great plays, go for all of that. Go for all of it. And make it real and have fun. You've got to have fun. If you don't have fun,
don't do it. Don't join SAG.
Thank you all very much for coming.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you.